Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julia if you're new, and we just recently went to the Amalfi Coast for a wedding. So we flew into Naples, and as you can see, we had a really chaotic cab ride through the city. And then we got some quick pastries and pizza before we had to catch our ferry from Naples to Positano, which is our first destination that we were heading to. The wedding was actually in Ravello, which is near the town of Amalfi, but we stopped in Positano along the way. And this was my first time in Positano, and it was so beautiful. I've never been to the Amalfi Coast before, and it was stunning. I can definitely see why it's a dream destination for a lot of people, because the scenery, the food, the energy, it was an amazing place. If you ever have the chance to go, I would highly recommend. So the first night we ate dinner at the sister restaurant to the hotel that we were staying at. So of course we had to get some pasta and wine for our first night in Positano. And then we took a walk around town. I feel like we didn't have too many plans. We just kind of wandered through the city, which was really great. We were staying kind of up from the hill, up from the main part of town, kind of like mid-level. And then at one point we also hiked up to the top, so that was really cool to see. And then the next morning we had breakfast at our hotel, and then we actually went to church. There's a little church in the main square in Positano, and it was a Sunday and we didn't have too many plans, so we wanted to see mass. And so we went to church, and then honestly we just walked around the whole day. We hiked down to the beach for a little bit, got to see more of the coastline, which was so beautiful. And again, there are a lot of stairs here, so just know you'll be doing lots of walking, lots of stair climbing. As you can see, I have so many clips of us just walking around and of the coastline, because you can see the coast basically wherever you are standing in Positano. I think that's what makes it so unique and so beautiful. And so at this point we had hiked up to the top of the hill to see more of the views. But I would say from top to bottom, it's probably like a 30 to 45 minute walk entirely uphill. And you can see one of the clips that there are no sidewalks, so just be careful of cars when you're there. And so that night for dinner, we went to a hotel restaurant called Mirage. It was maybe like a 5-minute walk from where we were staying, and I found it on Google Maps, and people said it had really great views. And actually, in this clip here, you can hear someone lit fireworks off. I really don't know why, but it was so loud because the sound of the fireworks echoing over the hill were just crazy. So Nick looked so happy enjoying his wine and drinking, and we were having a fabulous dinner, but it was so loud for like 15 seconds while these fireworks were going off. Then we got a little complimentary limoncello. So then the next morning we got pastries at the little pastry shop across the way and ate breakfast at our hotel, but it was our last morning before checkout, so we wanted to do a little wander down to the beach. The little beach chairs. We're going to swim at the beach. It's like 9 a.m. on Monday, and I'm hoping the sea will cure me like some ancient Victorian remedy, because I have a sore throat and a stuffy nose, and I didn't sleep very well. So we're seeing if the Mediterranean Sea will cure me. I have a feeling that it will. I'm going to choose to believe that it will in this case. And if you couldn't tell, we saw so many cats while we were there, and so I put a little Italian kitty count on the screen, just how many clips I got of them. They were so cute. They were definitely more in Ravello. I think it's like a sanctuary town for cats. I saw a little sign, but it was in Italian, but from my understanding, that's what it was. I think people feed them and take them in. But anyways, we went to the beach to do a little swim. And also on this trip, I ended up getting sick like the second day that we were there. So I really wasn't feeling well for this entire trip. So I tried to get as many shots as I could, but towards the end, I definitely was feeling it. So as you can see, Nick was definitely enjoying the water and floating along. We just spent maybe like an hour, really quick dip in the ocean, and then we had to get back to check out of our hotel. Ended up going to the archaeological museum that they have in town. So it's right underneath the church. We bought tickets to the museum. They were like €15 for a 45-minute tour, and there was like 10 people on this tour. It was an amazing tour. They have these beautiful frescoes that they recently unveiled in like, I want to say within the last 5 years or so, of an old Roman villa that was underneath Positano. I would highly recommend going and seeing it. It was, again, 45 minutes and €15 and absolutely worth it. Then by this point, it was time to head to Amalfi. So we hopped on the ferry, taking it from Positano to the town of Amalfi. Ravello is like a 15-minute bus ride up the hill, so it's really not too far. And honestly, a little bit of a treacherous journey for me specifically, but we ended up making it. That's why Nick was carrying the suitcase, because I had to carry the suitcase up part of the way, and we got split up, and it's a whole big thing. But anyways, we made it to Ravello, and again, beautiful. If you ever have the chance to go, I would highly recommend it as like either a day trip or morning trip if you're staying in Amalfi. Amalfi, the town, it seemed like, to me at least, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I would highly recommend going to Ravello. There's 2 main villas that are up in Ravello. I can't remember the name of the other one, but the wedding we were going to was at Villa Cimbrone, and that was one of the ones that people recommended. So I'd highly recommend going. It's beautiful. You can pay like €10 to go in during the day. They have beautiful English gardens. Would highly recommend. There were the views from our room. So beautiful. And then we went to the welcome party for the wedding, and I didn't get too many clips of the wedding just because we were obviously guests, so I didn't want to get too many, but they had a cheese station, so they had like 5 different types of cheese you could choose from. So then the next morning was actually the day of the wedding, but we didn't have too many plans. So we ended up driving down to the small town of Minori. There's Minori and there's Mayori. Mayori is the bigger one, Minori is the smaller one, but Minori is closer to Ravello where we were staying. So we ended up going to the beach, and as you can see, the weather wasn't the best. It was a little bit warm, but we just sat on the beach and read. I didn't go swimming. Nick took a dip, and then we got some pizza for lunch and a really yummy dessert, and then we drove our way back up the crazy hills. Thank you to my friend Kat for driving, because I could never. And then it was time to get ready for the wedding. And so once we got ready, we just ended up walking over to the villa, and it was so stunning. Like, I'll let you take in some of these views, because the villa itself was so beautiful. Like, I've never seen a prettier wedding. And the weather was so nice, and it was almost about to rain, but the rain held off for the ceremony. As you can see, we were walking towards the reception, and just like panoramic scenic views of the Amalfi Coast. It was unreal.
Yes, please, work. Perfect. Amazing. Okay, what a content idea. That was a good idea. Can we do a gallery? Like Instagram gallery? Where's Gable? Don't get Gable. Yeah, here, let's do it. Nope, that's it. Yeah, not that. This is what you I got it. I think so. That 0.5. Wait, let's do it again. Let's do it again. All right. I wasn't worried at all.
And then the cocktail hour was on the Terrace of Infinity, which is one of the main points of interest at Villa Cimbrone, and so I would highly recommend going. It was so beautiful, like almost 180-degree views of the coastline. As you can see, they have all these interesting looking busts that just sit out and look at the view, and it was so beautiful.
bust.
And then we got into the reception, and then after that, I didn't get too many more clips because we had to hit the dance floor. So then the next morning we had the goodbye party, and it was at a local pizza restaurant, and it was so good. I think after eating multiple days of pizza and pasta, I was like, can I have any more? And I was like, actually, yes, I can, because this is delicious. I didn't get any clips of us traveling from Ravello to Salerno just because the journey from Amalfi to Ravello was a little bit treacherous to begin with, so I wasn't sure what we were getting ourselves into, but we journeyed back down. We went Ravello, we took a cab down to Amalfi, got the ferry from Amalfi to Salerno, and that's where we were flying out of. Luckily, there was a flight straight back to London, Gatwick, and we ended up going to this church that is in the town. I'll have to put it in the description because I cannot remember the specific name of it right now, but it was so beautiful inside, and everyone said to go because there is a beautiful crypt underneath, and it's actually the crypt of St. Matthew the Apostle. He is buried here. This is where his tomb is, and so it was stunning to go see, and we were a little surprised that St. Matthew was there, but I would highly recommend going if you're ever in Salerno. Salerno was a really nice town to visit, and I would definitely recommend if you need a home base for your Amalfi Coast travel. We really enjoyed it, but that's all for now. Ciao!